All right. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the Evercade showcase that happened a few days ago. I'm not, haven't been to this point super familiar with Evercade other than seeing some other YouTubers show it. Uh, but they did a showcase the other day, and which is kind of cool. Uh, so right now Evercade has a home console, and they also have the EXP, which is a handheld. Looked like early on, like with some copyright issues, like some of the cartridges didn't work on the handheld and on the home console. But from what I can tell, those issues have been resolved. Um, so I have found a little bit of controversy with the Evercade, and some people have kind of bashed the memory. They say it's basically just USB thumbsticks um, and a cartridge, basically. But I don't know. It seems like there's some pretty cool stuff going on it. I mean, I don't think anyone would expect an old school cartridge design in a modern day um, package. It was just really expensive to make. Um, anyway, the games are pretty cheap usually. There's usually multiple games on each cartridge. Um, so yeah, some people have had problems. Just a warning in advance on that. Um, but the console itself is pretty cheap. The handheld I think is like $90 or $100. Console like starts like at 115 or 120 or something. Uh, we'll go on to the specifics maybe a little bit later. But the main reason that this happened, um, that this showcase got a little bit more presentation is like, yeah, they've announced, like you see here, some Amiga games and whatnot. Um, but they have also, the biggest news was probably Duke Nukem. Now, a lot of people, if you're not older, you might just think of Duke Nukem as the modern disaster, which I never even played. Um, because to me, Duke Nukem was all about the original, and then Duke Nukem 3D, and after that, I honestly haven't really touched the series in any way. Uh, and so anyway, yeah, they announced Duke Nukem, and we got Duke Nukem, Land of the Babes, which I'm not familiar with. Advance, which I'm assuming was a Game Boy Advance game. Time to Kill. And then this was, to me, was the cool one, Duke Nukem 1 and 2 remastered. Like this right here, this is what I grew up playing Duke Nukem here. Uh, if you're familiar with it, like I also grew up playing like Commander Keen. So seeing uh, Duke Nukem 1 and 2 remaster is kind of cool in widescreen. Um, back in the day, I you might be remember Commander Keen and stuff, and like a lot of these games were basically considered what was called shareware at the time, um, and so it's just totally different time of gaming. You can Google that kind of stuff if you're interested in what shareware gaming and some of the other stuff. Uh, Commander Keen's still amazing in my opinion. Uh, kind of even predates, I'd say, like DuckTales on NES. Probably kind of a similar comparison, maybe a little bit. Um, but yeah, so like with their showcase, they announced the Duke Nukem games, and what they didn't show in that video there was they also announced an Atomic Edition system, and this is actually the only way, and it's already sold out. They only did 2,000 units, but it's the only way to actually pre-order the Evercade arcade games prior to them being released, which it says in August, which is interesting because the console showing shipping in November, but the games will be for sale in August. So, not sure if that's going to hold up or not. I actually grabbed one of these when they first went up, just because I was curious. May not even keep it, but there was only 2,000, so I went ahead and grabbed one. There's already controversy with the release of this because of the art. I did think it was cool that this is like a fully custom from, not just the console, but the controllers. They have a custom design too, which I thought was really cool. Right here kind of shows you again what we saw in that other video. If we actually go to hardware, we can kind of see what the stuff normally cost. They don't actually have like a base like without any game. Yeah, it's pretty cheap, so I don't think you can really complain that much about it. There's been some kind of cool releases. A lot of these are really old school. And so, like, you might be familiar. The other one I did order, I wasn't sure of, but I did order this, even though I own, I think, all of this on Steam. But Always Awakening 8-bit edition and Cathedral, both on one cartridge. So these are indie games that came out on Steam originally. And so, pretty cool. Anyway, there's been controversy with the Duke Nukem thing because of the AI thing, so you might have seen stuff about the art. Basically, the artist, I guess, has been basically kind of, they've said that he's using AI generated art and that he's known for it. People on Twitter pointed to it and some of his other work. And so, yeah, already we did have an apology from Blaze, who does Evercade. And so they're basically apologized for it. They said they're going to remove all art, as much as they can, and then they're going to recommission new art. The one interesting thing here is that this does not seem to be available so far. Any of the Duke Nukem stuff, like I can't see any news of any of this coming to Good Old Games or Steam or anywhere else. So for right now, this actually seems to be exclusive to Evercade. It's not the biggest news in the world, but it's still interesting for some of us that may be a little bit older and have some nostalgia with it. So, yeah, so there's a lot of stuff coming to Evercade. Like I said, I have no experience with it, so be interesting because if I decide to keep my pre-order, which I think I probably will, because if not, I'll either sell it or maybe, I don't know, could do a giveaway or something. I don't know. But yeah, pretty interesting. It's kind of a retro console. It's kind of doing things a little bit differently than, say a Mr. Project or, Analog, where they're trying to bring, new releases out of old games, with boxes. I mean, they number the boxes and come with manuals that are colored and all that good stuff. So, yeah, you can check out their showcase and the complete showcase if you want on the Evercade YouTube page. They also have the trailer for Duke Nukem on there. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you have any experience with Evercade or good or bad, I'm basically indifferent at this point. So yeah, let me know what you think. What you think of Duke Nukem being released? If you what you think about this AI art thing and them recommissioning art for this and all that good stuff. So yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I will see you in the next one.